I mean, certainly in the medium term and the long term, there is no side in D.C. that is pro-China. There's no one who's willing to defend China. So as we get into the 2020 elections, this is going to get much more brutal than it's already been. Now, that should be separated from what's happening this month around G20. The president could have a trade deal at G20, and that's separated from China policy going forward. But it gets very difficult because there is no constituency in D.C. that's willing to defend China.
Yeah, but even more so with a democratically controlled House than a GOP House. And the president's not going to push back because they're Democrats. If they're willing to go to be on his side, he's going to embrace. He's not the kind not to embrace that.
That's right. But the problem is that this is all about 2020, and it's all about trade deficits. And the president set up his metric for success being the trade deficit, particularly with China. And 2018, the tax bill meant this is the worst trade deficit that history's ever seen. So as a result of that, he's got some work to do in order to get this trade deficit down by his own measures. And as a result, there's going to have to be some big things happening with China. That means either a big China trade deal or it means big tariffs to knock down that trade deficit.
What's a big China trade deal look like? A pause in things getting worse, or
only a pause? So I think that what's on the table right now, two possibilities. One, G20 is a massive, just a massive nothing burger, and we move on and tariffs escalate on Jan 1 and things get a lot nastier. Or you do have a pause deal. So tariffs stay at 10%, but the Chinese agree to a whole laundry list of things, whether it's what's going to be large purchases of U.S. goods.
And we parallel process, meantime, the other round of tariffs, which have to go through a public comment period, et cetera, before they actually
we pause them. We say, look, as long as the Chinese are behaving and they're buying a lot of our goods, then maybe this doesn't kick in. Hold it over their heads, but say January 1 is not going to be this cliff that everyone thinks it might be.
So what did President Xi say? What did he mean? What was the tone? I mean, is there a reason for optimism? Was there a change at all in the last couple of days listening to
I don't think there's been a change, and I think that's a good thing for a trade deal because I think the Chinese would jump through hoops to get any kind of trade deal right now. They want one. This is completely on President Trump right now. If he wants something, you're going to have a G20 trade deal. If he doesn't, we won't have it.
And when you say they want one desperately, is it because of what is going on economically with the country? I mean, overnight we had some pretty startling regulations. I don't even know if you call it regulations, policies regarding how banks lend.
Right.
And that's really seen as sort of a desperate measure on the part of Beijing to prop up the sector. But in actuality, it's perhaps causing a death spiral.
Well, the economy is weakening right now, and the fear is that early 2019 is going to be a mess if the Chinese don't get some sort of trade deal. Now, they want a trade deal for the other reason that anything that they agree to in the short term is not going to be one of these structural deals which substantively changes Made in China 2025. Right. Regardless of what the president said. It's not going to change the direction of intellectual property theft, although it could tweak around the edges. So anything they can agree to in the short term that puts off their pain for another year, right, it's easy for them to do. They'll do it in a second. Again, this is entirely on President Trump's plate, whether he wants a deal or not.